A lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV main news today, the 16th of July in the year 2026. Let's now take a look at the news headlines. UNZA lecturer questions declining role of traditional media in election campaigns. Paramount Chief CHITIMUKULU calls for peace ahead of August pause. Zambia declares 5 days of national mourning for former Vice President Guy Scott. In international news, South African police probe murder of anti-immigrant provincial leader. In sports, FAS honors Dr. Guy Scott's football legacy. Join us for these and many more stories after the break.
Every celebration, there's a simple choice being made. To belong, count me in. Moments of love and promises for tomorrow, count me in. At the checkout line, in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters. Count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message finds us. Count me in. From the everyday worker to the hands shaping our future every day, the call is the same. Count me in. And around the traditions that bring us together, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Count me in.
This election season, your vote counts. Get your NRC and voters card ready.
Count me in.
It's morning again in Zambia. Today, millions of our children will go to school more than ever before in the history of our country, because free education is opening doors that were once closed. Today, with over 40 million kwacha to spend, communities will build clinics, improve schools, drill boreholes, and transform lives using the increased CDF. Men and women will walk through markets and stations freely, without fear or intimidation from cadres. But the journey is not over, and we still have more work to do.
We've started the change. Now let's finish the job. On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia. And let us continue to move Zambia forward together.
Camnet TV main news now showing on Topstar channel 106, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on the Kenstream app. With the main news in detail, I'm Tapelo Joe Smarter. A University of Zambia UNZA mass communication lecturer has raised concern over what he describes as the growing sidelining of traditional media houses in political campaigns, saying politicians are increasingly relying on social media content creators and musicians to reach voters ahead of the August 18 general elections. Speaking during a media training workshop for journalists and broadcasters in Lusaka, Dr. Basi Ohamusokwe said the trend should prompt serious reflection within the journalism profession. He observed that while social media influencers and musicians have secured campaign-related opportunities by producing and sharing political content, many traditional media organizations have largely been left out. Dr. Hamusokwe questioned whether media houses were doing enough to remain relevant in the evolving political communication landscape, suggesting that politicians may now view digital content creators as a more effective channel for disseminating campaign messages. He urged journalists and media institutions to introspect and adapt to changing communication trends as the election campaign increasingly shifts to online platforms.
Okay, so we all know that the media has been undergoing some challenges regarding sustainability, and that is economic sustainability. And we thought that this period of the elections, the media would actually be used to channel election information, and the media has been expectant that there will be a key stakeholder in the election process, especially working with ECZ and also working with other political parties. But the trend has been that most of the political parties, if not all, have sidestepped the traditional media and gone for other players in the industry, that is maybe influencers, musicians and other artists. So it has happened that those other players are the ones that have become the main or key stakeholders in disseminating elections information, and the traditional media or the mainstream media have been sidelined, and this means that the sustainability problems will also continue. But one other thing to also maybe reflect on, and what the media should reflect on, is why is this trend happening like this? Is it because maybe the public is also losing trust in the media? Or is it because maybe other influencers and artists are becoming the most influential and trusted purveyors of information? So to me, really, this is an issue that the media and other stakeholders should interrogate and establish what the cause to this is.
Paramount Chief CHITIMUKULU has called on political leaders to promote peace during the election period, stressing that violence and hatred have no place in Zambia's democracy as the country heads towards the August 18 general elections. The traditional leader made the remarks when United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia UPPZ President Charles Chanda paid a courtesy call on him at his palace in Mungwi district. Speaking to journalists after the meeting, Mr. Chanda said the Paramount Chief welcomed his decision to support President Hakainde Hichilema's re-election bid, saying continued backing for the head of state would help sustain the government's rural development agenda beyond this year's elections. According to Mr. Chanda, the Paramount Chief urged politicians to focus on messages of peace, warning that leaders who promote hatred ultimately harm themselves rather than their political opponents. The traditional leader also said chiefs remain closely connected to their communities and are well placed to understand local development priorities, including improved road infrastructure, access to farming inputs and employment opportunities for young people. Mr. Chanda said the Paramount Chief further encouraged political parties to share their manifestos with traditional leaders so that they can help citizens understand the development programs being proposed by competing parties. He described the meeting as cordial and said the traditional leader expressed appreciation for his engagement with traditional authorities.
I paid a courtesy call this morning to Mwinaloemba, Chief CHITIMUKULU, at his palace this morning, and he expressed his gratitude for the gesture that we extended to those that are working with him in the chiefdom. He reiterated that what I did is something that has not been done by anyone, not even from those that are claiming to be caring. He emphasized that I must not worry with sentiments from those who are negative, because this gesture is exactly what is needed for those in rural Zambia who work tirelessly to ensure that there is peace and harmony in the country. The chief further thanked me for the decision I took to back President Hakainde Hichilema, and he echoed that that was an intelligent decision, not that is made out of frustration. He said that he wished me well, and he also expressed his gratitude to the UPPZ manifesto. He advised that I must never compromise that manifesto because it works well with rural Zambia, and rural Zambia backs that manifesto.
Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has declared a 5-day period of national mourning and accorded a state funeral to former Vice President Dr. Guy Lindsay Scott in recognition of his distinguished professional and political service to Zambia. In a statement issued by Secretary to the Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, government announced that the national mourning period begins today, Thursday, July 16, 2026, and runs until Monday, July 20, 2026, when Dr. Scott will be laid to rest at Leopards Hill Memorial Park in Lusaka. The government said the state funeral honors Dr. Guy Scott's contribution to national development following his death on Wednesday, July 15, 2026. A state funeral church service will be held at the Anglican Cathedral of the Holy Cross at 10 hours before the burial ceremony. Government also announced that members of the public wishing to pay their respects can gather at Belvedere Lodge along Leopards Hill Road in Kablonga, Lusaka, where funeral proceedings for the late former vice president will be held. During the national mourning period, flags across the country will fly at half-mast from 6 hours to 18 hours each day. CTPD has urged the government to reduce domestic borrowing by warning that rising public debt is preventing lower interest rates from reaching businesses despite the Bank of Zambia's monetary policy easing. In a statement, CTPD said commercial lending rates remain high at around 28% even after a central bank began lowering its policy rate in response to improving inflation. The think tank said the continued rise in government domestic debt risks weakening the transition of monetary policy by encouraging commercial banks to invest in government securities instead of extending credit to the private sector. CTPD said the situation threatens Zambia's economic transformation because businesses require affordable financing to invest, expand production, and compete in regional and continental markets. The organization noted that micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises are the most affected as they already face difficulties accessing finance due to being viewed as higher-risk borrowers. It said high borrowing costs continue to limit investment in value addition, manufacturing, agriculture, and export-oriented industries, making it difficult for businesses to participate in regional value chains under the African Continental Free Trade Area.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development notes with concern the rising domestic borrowing by government that risks weakening monetary policy transmission but also private sector credit growth. This is evidenced by how that even though the Bank of Zambia has been easing the policy rate in response to improving inflation, the domestic interest rate remained elevated at around 28%. At the same time, government domestic debt has continued to rise, increasing the risk that domestic borrowing pressure will limit the pass-through of lower policy rate to businesses. We therefore urge the government to treat domestic borrowing as a monetary policy transmission issue and not merely a budget financing tool. We further urge government to prioritize arrears clearance and limit refinancing pressure that keep government securities attractive relative to private sector lending.
Citizens First CF says it welcomes the Constitutional Court's intervention to clarify legal questions surrounding presidential running mates, insisting it will abide by the court's interpretation ahead of the August 13 general elections. CF presidential media team member Bangwena Village Senga said the party supports an application filed by lawyer Isaac Mwanza seeking constitutional guidance on whether a presidential candidate must always have a validly nominated running mate. Mr. Tsenga, who is also the CF parliamentary candidate for Kundalila constituency, said the application would provide much needed legal certainty for political parties, candidates, and the electorate. He was responding to remarks by Economic Freedom Fighters EFF President Kasonde Mwenda, who suggested that CF President Harry Kalaba should not appear on the ballot following the decision by his running mate Moses Mawere to join another political alliance. Mr. Tsenga said instead of making public assertions, Mr. Mwenda should have sought the Constitutional Court's interpretation on the matter. He said Citizens First respects the rule of law and will accept the court's decision once it is delivered.
Citizens First Party rejects Mr. Kasonde Mwenda's claim that President Harry Kalaba should not be on the ballot because his running mate, Mr. Moses Mawere, endorsed another alliance. If there are any doubts about running mates, the Constitutional Court is the right authority to decide. We therefore welcome Isaac Mwanza's application because it will bring clarity and fairness to the electoral process. This matter raises urgent constitutional questions ahead of the 2026 general election. As Citizens First, we will respect the rule of law and will abide by the court's decision, confident it will provide certainty for candidates, parties, and the people of Zambia.
The Forum for Democracy and Development, FDD, has expressed concern over rising political violence ahead of Zambia's August 18 general elections, accusing political leaders of fueling tensions through inflammatory rhetoric and urging President Hakainde Hichilema to focus on messages of peace and development. In a statement issued by FDD Information and Publicity Secretary Caesar Liteta, the opposition party said Zambia's constitution guarantees citizens the right to freedom of association, expression, and access to information, allowing them to support any political party without fear of intimidation or violence. The party said citizens should be free to attend political rallies, listen to campaign messages, and wear party regalia without becoming targets of attacks. FDD condemned what it described as increasing incidents of politically motivated violence, saying no Zambian should lose their life simply because of political affiliation or campaign activities. The party argued that leaders' public statements influence the behavior of their supporters and warned against messages that could be interpreted as encouraging retaliation for past acts of political violence.
Zambia is a multi-party democratic state that constitutionally gives its citizens a number of rights, among them the right to association, information, and expression. At this time of the political calendar, Zambians are headed into the general elections slated for the 13th of August 2026, as provided for by the Republican Constitution. Zambians have the right to associate with any political party of their choice from among over 90 registered political parties in Zambia. Even political parties are allowed to associate with various other political parties, civil society organizations, and church mother bodies, hence the formation of various alliances and coalitions that we see today. Citizens are therefore simply exercising their right of association and not committing any offense or crime, be it to a political party, either in government or opposition, individuals, or any other organization at all. It's therefore criminal to violently attack fellow citizens that are simply exercising their constitutional right by any grouping, whether from the ruling class or the opposition. It is not fair that every political year citizens must be killed or because they belong to opposing political parties. Zambians have the right to attend rallies, listen to political radio programs and campaign messages or songs in their quest to seek information, be informed, and align themselves with whichever grouping appeals to them. Even then, they are simply exercising their right to access information, which equally is not criminal in nature and does not deserve to be slaughtered like stray dogs. Where is Zambia headed for?
The Zambia Qualifications Authority, ZAQA, has warned higher learning institutions against offering unregistered qualifications, saying the practice undermines the credibility of Zambia's education system and disadvantages graduates. Speaking on behalf of ZAQA Director General Mensingoma during a stakeholder engagement meeting in Ndola, Director of Finance Ronald Chulu said the authority was strengthening collaboration with universities, colleges, and training providers to improve compliance with the National Qualifications Framework. Mr. Chulu said the meeting focused on building stronger partnerships with institutions while addressing challenges affecting the implementation of the framework. He said ZAQA had identified several concerns, including institutions awarding unregistered qualifications, offering programs without the required legal mandate, delaying the submission of learner achievement records, failing to register qualifications on the National Qualifications Framework, and using inconsistent qualification titles. Mr. Chulu warned that these shortcomings affect the efficiency of qualification verification services and leave graduates at a disadvantage when seeking employment, professional registration, and further education opportunities.
Qualifications being awarded by institutions without the legal mandate to do so, delays in the submission of learner achievement records, failure to register qualifications on the National Qualifications Framework, and inconsistencies in the nomenclature of qualifications. These challenges not only affect the efficiency of verification services, but also disadvantage graduates seeking employment, professional registration, and further education. Timely submission of learner achievement records, compliance with qualification registration requirements, and adherence to approved qualification titles will significantly improve service delivery and enhance confidence in our qualifications as Zambians.
And that particular story takes us to our first set of commercials, but do join us for more news when we come back. Do stay tuned.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person, one vote.
No titles, no status.
Just a choice.
It's not about doing nothing.
It's about showing up.
Because your vote matters.
It's easy.
It's important.
It's ours.
Count me in.
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 In every celebration, there's a simple choice being made. To belong, count me in. In moments of love and promises for tomorrow, count me in. At the checkout line, in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters. Count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message finds us. Count me in. From the everyday worker to the hands shaping our future every day, the call is the same. Count me in. And around the traditions that bring us together, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Count me in.
This election season, your vote counts. Get your NRSC and voters card ready.
Count me in.
Before 2022, millions of Zambian children stayed home because school was unaffordable for many families. Today, things are much better. No more tuition fees, no more PTA fees, and no more examination fees. More than 2.5 million children are back in class across the country. Schools are feeding our children and classrooms are full again. And with the enhanced Constituency Development Fund, more classrooms are being built, more desks are being made, more teachers are being hired. Because Bali cares. He has delivered this for all children across Zambia. Because free education is not just a policy. It is a promise to every Zambian child. A promise that poverty will not decide their future. A promise delivered. On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia. And let's continue to move Zambia forward together.
Welcome back. We continue with the main news on Camnet TV. Zambia Sugar PLC has strengthened its position as one of Southern Africa's leading manufacturers after winning 2 top honors at the Southern Africa Quality Excellence Awards. The Mazabuka-based company was named Best in Class Manufacturing in South Africa and Best Manufacturer of Sugar in Southern Africa at the awards that recognize organizations demonstrating excellency in quality, innovation, operational performance, and customer satisfaction. Zambia Sugar Managing Director Oswald Magwenzi said the recognition reflects the company's strong leadership, forecast management, and teamwork among employees. Mr. Magwenzi said the awards reinforce Zambia Sugar's commitment producing safe and high-quality food products while continuing to improve operational standards. He added that the recognition will motivate the company to maintain its position as a benchmark for manufacturing excellence in the region. The latest achievement adds to Zambia Sugar's growing list of quality and food safety accolades following the company's National Quality Award received in Livingstone in November 2025 and the Sadiq Quality Award won in Johannesburg, South Africa in March 2026. Government has reaffirmed its commitment to improving the livelihoods of vulnerable households through expanded social protection and community empowerment programs as the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services stepped up engagements in Western Province. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, Beatrice Chilomo, made the commitment during a courtesy call on Western Province Permanent Secretary Simomo Akapelwa in Mongu at the start of a 3-day working visit to the province. Ms. Chilomo said government is leveraging social protection initiatives, including the Food Security Park and the Social Cash Transfer Program, to empower vulnerable households, strengthen livelihoods, and promote sustainable community development. She said the programs remain central to government's efforts to reduce poverty and improve the welfare of citizens across the country. Ms. Chilomo is visiting Keema, Limulunga, and Senanga districts, where she is expected to officiate at a series of community development programs aimed at expanding economic empowerment and improve social welfare. Meanwhile, Mr. Akapelwa welcomed the Permanent Secretary's visit, saying social protection programs implemented by the ministry have had a positive impact on communities across Western Province. He noted that the initiatives have contributed to improved household incomes and strengthened food security among beneficiary families. The visit forms part of government's continued efforts to monitor the implementation of community development programs and enhance support for vulnerable households through sustainable empowerment initiatives. The Zambia Police Service has rescued a an 11-month-old baby who was allegedly stolen in Lusaka, and arrested a 30-year-old woman in Choma following a tip-off from a member of the public. Police identified the suspect as Rachel Banda of Lusaka. Officers apprehended her on July 16 after finding her with a child at a lodge in Choma. According to Police Public Relations Officer Godfrey Chilabi, the child was reported missing at Chilenje Police Station through Godfrey Mianda Police Post on July 14 at about 22:50 hours. Mr. Chilabi said preliminary investigations indicate that the suspect, who was known to the child's family and worked as a maid near the complainant's residence, allegedly took the 11-month-old baby from his mother's home in Chalala around 1640 hours on the same day. He said the suspect allegedly told the child's mother she was taking the infant, one of a set of twins, to buy snacks from a nearby shop, but never returned. Mr. Chilabi said the breakthrough came on July 16 at around 9:30 hours when a 38-year-old resident of Namwala district saw a Facebook post containing photographs of the missing child and the suspect. After becoming suspicious, the resident alerted police in Choma. He said, acting on the information, police officers traced the suspect to a lodge in Choma, arresting her and safely recovered the child. Mr. Chilabi said the police have since engaged the Department of Social Welfare to provide the necessary support and care arrangements for the child. He said the suspect remains in police custody while investigations continue.
The Zambia Police Service wishes to inform the public that police in Choma have apprehended a female suspect in connection with a child stealing case involving an 11-year-old male child who was reported missing in Lusaka. The suspect, identified as Rachel Banda, age 30, of Lusaka, was apprehended on July 16, 2026, after police found her with a missing child at a lodge in Choma. The matter was reported at Chilenje Police Station through Godfrey Mianda Police Post in Lusaka on July 14, 2026, around 22:50 hours. Preliminary investigations revealed that the suspect, who was known to the child's family and worked as a maid near the complainant's residence, allegedly took the child from the mother's house in Chalala area on the same day around 1640 hours. It is alleged that the suspect took the child, who is one of a set of twins, on the pretext of buying him snacks from a nearby shop, but did not return. On July 16, 2026, around 0930 hours, a concerned citizen, aged 38, of Namwala district, alerted police in Choma after seeing a Facebook post about the missing child, which included photographs of the child and the suspect. The citizen became suspicious and immediately reported the matter to police. Police officers proceeded to the lodge where the suspect was staying, apprehended her, and safely recovered the child. Police have since engaged the Department of Social Welfare to assist with the child's welfare. The suspect remains in police custody. The Zambia Police Service commends members of the public for their vigilance and encourages communities to continue reporting any suspicious activities involving children. Further updates will be provided as investigations continue.
Residents of Namunandi area in Nalikwanda constituency have appealed to the government to repair a storm-damaged classroom block, deploy more teachers, and establish a health center to improve access to essential services. Namunandi area Induna, Liomba, Mubiana, Simangolwa said the roof of a classroom block at Namunandi Primary School was blown off by a storm in 2014, but the building has remained unrepaired despite the matter being reported to the relevant authorities. The traditional leader said the prolonged delay has negatively affected learning at the school and urged the local authority to rehabilitate the damaged infrastructure. Induna Liomba also appealed to the Ministry of Education to deploy more teachers, saying the school currently has only one teacher serving all learners. Meanwhile, resident Kabukabu Mayamba said people in the area travel long distances to access health care, making it difficult for expectant mothers and other patients to receive timely medical attention. Ms. Mayamba said some pregnant women are forced to give birth on the way to health facilities because of the long distances involved. She appealed to the government to construct a health center in Namunandi to improve access to healthcare services and reduce the risks faced by expectant mothers and other residents. The residents said improving education and healthcare infrastructure would enhance the quality of life for people living in the area. Our reporter, Kelvin Kabila Musiebo, filed in this report.
Long distances to health services drastically increase maternal and infant mortality, particularly in rural areas. It causes severe delays in reaching emergency health care, limits crucial prenatal checkups, and forces mothers to rely on dangerous and unreliable transportation. Namunandi residents in Nalikwanda constituency are appealing to government to put up a health facility in the area to reduce long distances they cover for them to access health services. One of the residents, Kabukabu Mayamba, says most of expected mothers deliver on their way due to long distances to the facility.
Okumwako na kuitwala mbai kufa kukula na kwetelele mayeni kufita na koya kupuluha lupuluwela nga mwali nzila bakensa butelele kwa kuyanga kwa litawa kwa ulaulu fokumuluza manga 4 hours lwakupa kwa muso ululu kuonesha ngo ulufeka ka kliniki ni bana basiko baluna bakula famu lutu wafumana yanga butata bakuisa banana kuli babasindekete kwa spatela
kwanu kuluna kibutata kwa spatela spatela haluna kubwela thaniti hakuna selunani luziele hile bana bali kolo habazwa fa kuli ukulile mwanana hakuna kulusuri kubaswe kubaisa baba mane konji kuyumena ngathani likota zeza kuli aliziba hali mwana kapoka fola kapachwani please na kupa kuli muso kampe kinto yeko na hala ulushwele kwa teni mangeke.
Mino, Induna Ryomba, Mubiana Mangola, echoed similar concern, highlighting some challenges the area is faced with, such as the blown-off roof at Namunandi Primary School in 2014.
Kimoya sali kusinyeza kimoya kakundukunduma la 9 September 2024. Tabayo luifitse kuwe mpika ofela kwa ofisa kwa mungu ofela kwa bomazesha baba sona kubona utata bulunani bona kono hakuna seseza halile balutangi hakuna kwa kono kubalutera kono ba ministry ya education kafela bazi bakwendeyezi mane ni modisi kafela bazi ba program ya school sekuli sisinyele hana mnandi kwa alimu bale balutuse kutolulukisa zona kabubebe banana hakuna kwa baitutera kono kamuka ofela sikakukile 2024 kashekule balusepisa kuli batoyani kashekule habayai aluzibi ape muwa lunanela batubyala fasi kolo saluna se muluti onania na kyalimu bali kukupela maluti apa muso haulu fi maluti balufaka muluti alimu walwe na magasti simwesifeilese bana baluna basialanga fela mkungulu muluti haya kwa mungu ngomu yofelanga sunda zepe likamba zeta usalukisa za mwabu sisi banana baikinela fela mi bakutela mwakuto kwa zibo kulola education twale lwakupa kwatenkuli balufe kwateli baluti.
Kelvin Kabila Musiebo, Camnet News in Nalikwanda constituency, Mongo district in Western Province.
And that particular news report takes us to our second set of commercials. But do join us for international and sports news. When we come back, do stay tuned.
For decades, Zambia has searched for its promise. Through triumph, sacrifice, and difficult seasons. Many promised change, many spoke of hope, but the burden remained heavy. And then, a servant of the people stepped forward. Not perfect, not a magician, but a man willing to lead his people through the wilderness toward a better Zambia. Like Moses leading his people toward the promised land. The journey was never meant to be easy, because nations are not built overnight. They are built through faith, sacrifice, and perseverance. The work is not finished, but Zambia is moving forward.
On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia.
Did you know that you've got the right to complain against any radio or television broadcast? Did you also know that every radio or television station has an obligation to respond and address your complaints when aggrieved? The first step is to complain to the station not more than 3 months after the broadcast took place. It is expected that the station will respond reasonably to you, that is within 14 days. If not satisfied, then escalate your problem to the Independent Broadcasting Authority.
We're at Mass Media Complex, Ali King Carter Road, PO Box 32475, Lusaka, or call us on +260 211 250589 or visit our website at www.iba.org.zm. IBA, promoting ethical and professional broadcasting.
In every celebration, there's a simple choice being made. To belong, count me in. In moments of love and promises for tomorrow, count me in. At the checkout line, in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters. Count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message finds us. Count me in. From the everyday worker to the hands shaping our future every day, the call is the same. Count me in. And around the traditions that bring us together, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Count me in. This election season, your vote counts. Get your NRC and voters card ready. Count me in.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person, one vote.
No titles, no status.
Just a choice.
It's not about doing nothing.
It's about showing up.
Because your vote matters.
It's easy.
It's important.
It's ours.
Count me in.
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 Welcome back to the Camnet News Desk, and now in international news. South Africa has appointed a multidisciplinary team of detectives and crime intelligence officers to investigate the murder of the provincial leader of an anti-immigrant group. Andile Somgaza, who headed March and March Gauteng branch, was shot in the driveway on his home in Johannesburg on 3rd July and died in hospital 10 days later. March and March say they believe his killing was in retaliation for the group's campaign to get undocumented migrants to leave the country. The acting police chief, Lieutenant General Puleng Dipane, said the appointment of the seasoned team underscores the seriousness with which the service is treating the case. But she also warned those who continue to intimidate, harass and perpetrate violence against foreign nationals that their actions are unlawful and will not be tolerated. Anti-illegal immigrant protesters say they will continue staging weekly marches until their demands are met. Here's a roundup of international stories courtesy of Africa News.
South Africa has appointed a multidisciplinary team of detectives and crime intelligence officers to investigate the murder of the provincial leader of an anti-immigrant group. Andile Mvuiselwa Sonklata, who headed March and March's Gauteng branch, was shot in the driveway of his home in Johannesburg on the 3rd of July and died in hospital 10 days later. March and March say they believe his killing was in retaliation for the group's campaign to get undocumented migrants to leave the country. The acting police chief says the appointment of the seasoned team underscores the seriousness with which the service is treating the case. But she also warned those who continue to intimidate, harass and perpetuate violence against foreign nationals that their actions are unlawful and will not be tolerated. Protesters say they will continue staging weekly marches until their demands are met.
14 of Nigeria's 36 states were put on flood alert on Wednesday as authorities warned of the risk of moderate flooding over the next few days. The country's Hydrological Services Agency urged residents in high-risk zones along major river channels to relocate, clear drainage channels and avoid crossing flooded roads. It also called on state governments to strengthen emergency warning systems, activate evacuation plans and increase public awareness. Nigeria's rainy season usually lasts for about 6 months, starting in March and intensifying from mid-May, particularly in the country's north. Flooding happens almost every year, but experts say climate change is leading to intense and unpredictable rainfall, overwhelming drainage infrastructure and the land's capacity to absorb water. Wildfires in Algeria have claimed their first victim, according to local media reports, a municipal worker taking part in firefighting operations. On Tuesday, the country's civil defense said one person with severe burns had been evacuated by helicopter from the northeastern province of Sétif, but didn't identify the victim. Fires fueled by a heat wave have been ravaging parts of the country for days. You can see the damage. It's a disaster. God spared us. There you can see my uncle's sheep. Poor man. It's all he owns in his life. It's his job. He's a farmer and he lives here. That's all his capital. It's thanks to that he covers his needs. Wildfires are a common sight in summer in northern Algeria, increasingly exacerbated by drought and heat waves that scientists say are linked to climate change. These major and dramatic fires were caused by the sharp rise in temperatures, the heat wave and the violent winds that affected several regions, such as the Wilaya of Bajaya in Beni Maouche and surrounding villages. In a statement on Wednesday morning, the Algerian Civil Defense said its units had responded to nearly 140 fires across the country over the previous 24 hours. Most have been contained.
And finally, in sports news this evening, the Football Association of Zambia, FAZ, has paid tribute to former Republican Vice President Dr. Guy Scott, describing him as a lifelong supporter of sport whose contribution to football history will be remembered. FAZ President Keith Mwemba said Dr. Scott played a significant role in Zambia's football journey, particularly as leader of the national delegation during the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON final in Libreville, where the Chipolopolo won their first continental title. Mr. Mwemba said Dr. Scott's presence alongside Zambia's founding president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and former President Rupia Banda during the historic triumph remains one of the memorable moments in the country's football history. He said Dr. Scott's contribution to the country extended beyond politics, adding that his association with sport had earned him a special place among Zambians. Dr. Scott, 82, died on July 15, 2026 at his Trot Over farm in Lusaka's Leopard Zoo area after an illness. President Hakainde Hichilema has since accorded Dr. Scott a state funeral in recognition of his service to the nation. FAS said the football fraternity will continue to cherish Dr. Scott's role in supporting Zambia's historic AFCON success and his commitment to the development of the sport. And on that note, we come to the end of this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But before we go, a recap of stories that made headlines. UNZA lecturer questions declining role of traditional media in election campaigns. Paramount Chief Chitimukulu calls for peace ahead of August polls. Zambia declares 5 days national mourning for former Vice President Guy Scott. In international news, South African police probe murder of anti-immigrant provincial leader. In sports news, FAS honors Dr. Guy Scott's football legacy. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 13. It reads, "But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." That is the Bible reading, and that concludes this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But dear viewer, be reminded, like always, that Camnet TV is not just another channel. Now showing on Topstar channel 106, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on the CanStream app. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Tapelo Joe Smata. Good evening and God bless.